Not Delemo Modu. When 3 years ago, who wrote an adulatory piece on the current president and called him what? Capo di tutti capi. Who do you call? Capo di tutti capi is boss of all, the boss of all mafia bosses. Again, I'm not making anything up. I'm just looking at the evidence. You have the chief judge of the Federal Capital Territory removing himself from his office with his judges and going to the office of the minister of the FCT to tell the minister of the FCT, we are part of government too, and we have a duty to make government for you function. That is not credible interdependence. That is judicial corruption.
So if I hear you, we may just witness a coronation next year in January.
That's quite possible. Yes. But as I said, let me repeat myself. There'll be a third term.
Wow. So
I'm quite clear about
even beyond the coronation, we should just prepare for the long haul.
Because a lot of politicians are thinking, oh, well, let's wait for 2031. President Tinubu has not done all of this.
Just for 4 years.
Just for
additional
another 4 years. There will be a third term. And anybody who is doing it is not our portion on that is not reading the evidence. And in any case, the current National Assembly is anything but national or an assembly. And if it's an assembly, it's not a parliamentary one. It is, many people have called it rubber stamp, but I think that is actually abusive of rubber stamps. I think this National Assembly is a disgrace. If you can change your national anthem in less than 24 hours with no public hearing, no public consultation, no public involvement, it tells you we don't have a country. Because a national anthem, you don't flip national anthems at a whim. A national anthem is fundamental to the construction of a national identity. And so we then developed a trajectory of magical legislation, right? And what's the latest magic? We introduced the bill to create state police, basically to fundamentally reorder policing, which is the first power and responsibility of a responsible state. And we do it in less than 2 hours. We do first reading, second reading, committee stage, passage in less than 2 hours. Who does that? Who does that? There will be a third term, and I'm not the person saying it. Ogbeyemi Bamidele says they will. He's the majority leader, and he's a former PA to the current president. So we've got to take him seriously. Once we finish our elections, we are going to amend our constitution, introduce a single 6-year presidential term. The current incumbent will be elected until 2031. In 2031, what will happen? The question will he be entitled to run on the 6-year term, or will he not? Correct? You will then get the best senior advocates in Nigeria telling you law is not retrospective. That is why the administration is supporting the litigation over President Jonathan's tenure. Not because the constitution is not clear, but because they will say there is precedent that says President Tinubu will run in 2031. There will be a third term, and I'm prepared to bet on it.
Is the 2027 election already over before it even started? Chidi Odinkalu have just dropped a bombshell that is sending shocking political wave through Nigeria. He is not just talking about politics. He is talking about a third tenure and a mafia boss structure that changes everything you thought you know about the current administration. In the next 3 minutes of this video, I'm going to break down the main reason why Odinkalu called President Bola Ahmed Tinubu boss of all mafia bosses. Because he explained how Tinubu will take everything and will still contest 2031 election again, which is being the third tenure. And what this third tenure plot actually look like, you will not believe the details at the 3 minutes mark.
Look, my brother. Let's get on with this. Many Nigerians have said that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is totally disconnected from the very harsh economic and security realities of many Nigerians. So give us your assessment, 3 years assessment of this administration.
It doesn't read good. That's to put it rather mildly, to be perfectly honest with you. But I think the thing that encapsulates it all is the spokesperson for the administration, Egmo Bayo Ononuga, going on national television to say he did not see the hunger in the country. Right. And mind you, Nigeria is in the top 5 of the global league tables of internal displacement. Right? The only countries that beat us are Sudan, Syria, and I believe now DRC. We beat Afghanistan in internal displacement. All right? Now, internal displacement, by definition, comes with hunger. We've got close to 4 million people who are internally displaced in Nigeria. Now, that does not account for the rise, the exponential rise in the industry in abductions, which means that people cannot go to the farms. And for anyone who has traveled around Nigeria, one thing is notable about traveling in the middle belt of Nigeria: Plateau, Nasarawa, Kogi, and Benue states in particular. Now, if you've gone to Benue State, going from Makurdi through past Boko to Katsina Ala, at that Katsina Ala junction, one thing you will never miss is the quantity of rotting fruits, oranges, mangoes, produce at different times of the farming of the season, of the harvest season. Go there today. You don't see any produce rotting. Right? Of course, I'm not celebrating rotting produce, but the reason they are not rotting is not because there is a new industry sucking up all of those and processing it into value-added production. It is because people are not able to go to the farms. Why are people not able to go to the farms? Abductions. What's the consequence of that? Hunger, food insecurity, nutritional insecurity. The fact that the presidency is unaware and is happy to advertise its lack of awareness of the depth of hunger. I'm not going to go into inflation numbers. No. But the fact that the presidency is unwilling and unable to see the hunger in the country, I think, tells all the story there is to tell.
That's amazing. You know, the special advisor that you referenced, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, actually dug deeper, you know, when he was challenged by Charles Aniogolu to say, I mean, he has domestic staff, and that they tell him, their feedback is that they are fine.
Of course, what are they going to tell him? That they're not fine. That they're dying of hunger under his watch, so that he'll fire them. Or he'll arrange to have them, he'll arrange to say that they're disparaging the administration in which their boss is working. Of course, they're not going to tell him that. But the fact that he lacks the skills, the attention, the bandwidth, and the empathy,
emotional intelligence,
to understand where things are in the country is itself very telling. People are coming at you with all manner of demands. If people think that the fact that you're able to dress yourself and maybe go out in a car in Nigeria means that you cannot avoid the village tax. Well, that's what I call it, it's the village tax. That means what? People who come from your neighborhood or who come at you with all manner of demands. You don't have to like it. And now the demographics of the people who come at you with the village tax is always a source of intelligence as to the degree of hardship that you have. And the fact that nobody is going to, I'm working on the basis of his claims, the fact that nobody is going to Egmo Bayo with village tax demands is itself very telling.
Mm. And I want you to also speak to the fact that he lives in he spoke like someone who lives in a cocoon.
Because he does.
In a gilded cage, according
because he does. The presidency is a gilded cage. Absolutely is a gilded cage. That was how it was conceived. That's how it is built. And that's how they're detached from reality.
But it wasn't always like this, Chidi. Am I wrong?
When was it not?
I mean, with President Obasanjo, for instance, I was close to people who were very close. I was close to him, and I was close to people who were very close to him. The presidents Obasanjo that I know had reach to anybody in any part of this country. He could call anybody to get first-hand assessment of what's going on anywhere in Nigeria.
Correct. Now, there are two sides to that. At the personal level, Obasanjo had the reach, the personal networks. You know, he had worked in the army, he'd worked everywhere in the country, he'd run the country before. So he had the personal reach and connections to reach to any part of the country. And it's the nature of military leadership also, strategic leadership training, to put you in that position to be able to access what you need, the assets that you need to reach the right kinds of decisions. And he leveraged that exceptionally well. It's also the fact that when he needed to, he retreated to that gilded cage in order to take decisions that were adverse to the interests of the country. And in my view, the trajectory we've navigated since President Obasanjo left power is a legacy, is part of the toxic legacy that he left behind. Whether it is, first of all, what he did in terms of his succession after failing the third term bid, and secondly, what he did with the 2007 elections. If Obasanjo had left us with a legacy of half-decent elections in 2007, we wouldn't be here. So, at some level, Obasanjo and that gilded cage that he created in order to wreak vengeance in the aftermath of a country that spurned his desire for a third term is why we're here.
Also, what can be deduced from Mr. Bayo Ononuga's, claims is that the government is insular. The President Tinubu government is seriously insular.
Now, you see, this is my problem. Obviously I'm Igbo, I'm Chidi, and I'm unapologetic about the fact that I'm Igbo, right? But I think, quite honestly and sadly, that the Yoruba race is being made to take the fall for what hardly they have anything to do with. Okay? Yes, the way you put it, the names are from one part of the country. But it's not the names. Now, yes, the names may be Yoruba. But Tinubu is not even making an attempt to run a pan-Yoruba agenda. No. I've lived in Lagos for pretty much 40 years. My primary home is in the southwest. Okay? And many of these people are people I know. These are not, they're not there because somebody is trying to draw from Yoruba land. They are there because somebody is replicating their personal court. This is President Tinubu's personal court from way back. The only people who are not there are people who have chosen not to be there, or people who have chosen not to be courtiers anymore. So Aregbe is no longer a courtier, so he's not there. BRF has chosen to return to legal practice. I'm not going to go beyond saying just that, right? Now, so we've got those kinds of people, okay? And obviously, Oshibajo has won his freedom. But so when you discount for the people who are no longer courtiers, what you're left with are people who may answer names that sound Yoruba, but as a matter of fact, are just members of the president's personal court. That's why they are there. And unlike Obasanjo, who could count on networks from across Nigeria, President Tinubu cannot. His networks from outside Yoruba land are political networks. They are not people, because he has not gone to school. He cannot count on school networks. He has not done youth service. He cannot count on youth service networks. He has not worked in the kinds of places Nigerians work, so he cannot count on those networks. He has not worked in these uniformed services. He cannot count on those networks.
Professional associations.
He cannot count on those either. So what is left? It is politics. It's all politics. Okay? So that's why, when Obasanjo wanted to do terrible things or wanted to do things with people whom he could trust, he went back to the military. And he could draw them from anywhere. When President Jonathan looked for people whom he could count on, he went back to his university days or youth service days. Right? So it's like when President Yaradua wanted to do certain kinds of things, he also returned to the days, either his days as a university teacher or his days organizing earlier movements with his late elder brother. Right? Now, when President Buhari was looking for people whom he could trust, he drilled back to memories and networks of earlier service and earlier strategic alliances. That's not what you're looking at here. All of President Tinubu's networks have been built around personal fealty. And that's what you're seeing.
Interesting. News broke, from Reuters. They broke a story, reporting that the Tinubu administration has spent 8.8 trillion naira. 8.8 trillion naira. Equivalent of 2.8% of our entire GDP. Off the books, the way the mafia world calls it, under the table. And IMF actually were the ones that
I saw the report.
That gave that report.
I saw that report last
reported by Reuters, and of course now it's all over the place. What's your response to this?
Well, I think I read a release over the weekend by the finance minister claiming this is not I'm not quite sure I would characterize him well, but what I understood him to have said is that this is deficit spending. It's not missing money. It is deficit spending. The question, however, is how do you spend to nearly 3% of your GDP in additional deficit? Because, mind you, the deficit has been rising, right? And our budget since the beginning of this administration, the first full budget was 2024. 2024, 2025, 2026 budgets are all deficit budgets. Now, if they are saying that this 8 and a bit trillion is deficit spending, was that deficit appropriated by the National Assembly? It does not seem to me as if it was appropriated. If it was not appropriated, how was it accrued? Because that is extra budgetary deficit. How do you then account for it, and how is it financed? How do you and if you are accruing deficit at this rate, and then the CBN is struggling, is holding the MPC rate at 26 steady, something is not computing, because deficits have to be financed somehow, and when you're looking at extra budgetary deficit at this volume, so let's accept the story, this is not missing money, this is deficit financing. How do you account for that in the framework of the underlying structure of an economy that is governed and serviceable? It does not make sense to me at this particular time.
And I saw a report, because over the weekend, so many analysts have, financial analysts, experts, have given their reading of the entire situation. And this 8.8 trillion, the bulk of it is tied to the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway,
which was begun without an environmental impact assessment.
Not just that. That would have been, it's bad, but without, it was
no bidding,
incepted, no due process,
yes,
no public bidding process,
yes,
no institutional, vetting process,
correct,
ICRC,
yes,
BP, and all of those, So 4.6 of this 8.8 is on that. Likewise, I think Badagry Sokoto Highway, another chunk of that, 1.7 or so. Also, the notorious issue of the 150 billion naira purchase of the presidential jet. Can you speak to this?
No, I don't have to speak to it. Look, I'll be perfectly brutal with you. This is election financing money. It's fairly straightforward. Okay?
Election financing.
This is election financing. Look, let's be honest about this. There is no Lagos-Calabar coastal road.
No, there's something Dave Ima is
That road is not
about.
going to cross Lagos State. Now, look, you don't wake up overnight and do Lagos-Calabar coastal road with no ESIA, Environmental and Social Impact Assessment. And then, you then work your way back to a pro forma report after it's brought to you. Because that's a very delicate, fragile ecological territory, that littoral, Atlantic littoral, right? Now, we have an east-west road that is not done, and that has not been done for over 25 years. It is still, there's a bunch of craters and stuff, right? Now, if you're looking at doing government and doing governance properly, what do? The easiest thing to do is to finish the east-west, ensure the completion of the east-west road. If you want to even litter the place with contracts, you can still do that on the east-west road, right? Now, taking on a new so-called Lagos-Calabar coastal road does not make sense.
It's not adding up.
It cannot make sense to anyone except in the framework of extracting money in order to create a political partisan war chest for all manner of things, to be done around elections. It's not much different. Sokoto, whatever coastal, Badagry coastal, what nonsense. Do they think we are all idiots? No, the fact of the matter is the regime is looking to make money, extract some money through people or to people whom it trusts to hold the money ahead of an election season where they kind of have butterflies, even though they don't have any reason to have butterflies. They own the judges, they own INEC chairman, they own the systems and infrastructure for elections. They can write their results if they to the extent that they want. So what are they complaining? Why are they worried?
You can see from the video, he called Tinubu boss of all mafia bosses because of what? Because of how he has captured everywhere. He has captured the judiciary, he has captured the INEC, he has captured the economic system of Nigeria. That is why he called Tinubu boss of all mafia bosses. Because now let us look at the judiciary. The judiciary are corrupt because they are now participating in politics. Whereby, even though a presidential candidate from other opposition party won the election, they will go to court and they will declare Tinubu winner. Chebu is currently the judge of the federation now. He's under APC party. INEC official is under APC. Have you seen that there is corrupt system in Nigeria whereby the judiciary is corrupt? And let us look at the national assemblies. The national assemblies are corrupt in such a way that how will it be that in national assemblies will not vet a national anthem? They will just pass a bill into law in less than 24 hours. That people say that let us change this national anthem. They change it. How is it not both of all mafia bosses? And that is why Odinkalu is saying that Tinubu will go for third term because of what? We lack judiciary. Our judiciary system is corrupt. The INEC system is corrupt. The only way we have to conduct election is being corrupt. Who is going to win election 2027? That is what they are saying. That Tinubu will still win 2027. Tinubu will still go for 2031 because he is the boss of all mafia bosses. He has structured himself in the way that he starts giving people appointment just to see their man and vote for him in 2027 and 2030. Have you seen how Tinubu becomes so massive in administration that he knows how to calculate this? And that is why he has been targeting the opposition party so that the opposition party will not participate in governance. Definitely means how many years are they doing now? 4 years, 4 plus 4, 8, plus another 3 years. That is, they are doing 12 years in governance as presidency. Have you seen the system of corruption, high rate of corruption Nigeria are into? That Tinubu will just decide and it will work. Definitely means that if he's doing this, we are still not going to have any opposition party in Nigeria again. That whatever he do, we say they will just implement it. That is why we lost 8.3 million, half Nigeria money that the GPT that is allocated for the year will lose it without anyone airing out because of if you air out, Tinubu will capture you and put you to where you belong. Everyone is just sealing his mouth, closing his mouth, giving appointment. He gave 20 appointment to different people that we don't even know. Ghost workers, he gave them appointment. People that we don't know, and they are now allocating money to give to these people. Why is Nigeria useless like this? Whereby the poor masses are hungry, corruption everywhere, the economic system hardship, and we're still fighting. This politician, this heartless politician, are still collecting money to put Tinubu in power in 2027 and also 2031. This is unbelievable. It's the high rate of corruption in our judiciary. Why our judiciary cannot be accountable? Because these are the only people who know that they can be accountable, that they can give justice, but they are not fully corrupt. Who is going to give justice in Nigeria? No one. The judiciary will see white and they will say it's black. They will see black and they will say it's white. Nigeria, we are getting things out of hand for us. It is right time we stand up and vote for who should be voted for. That is what Odinkalu is trying to reveal to us, that if we don't stand up now, Tinubu will succeed third tenure. He's not just going for second tenure, he's going for third tenure, and they're going to pass it into law. That is what they are saying. And if they pass it into law, whatsoever government that is coming again is still going for third tenure. What does this actually mean for Nigeria? Let us look at the economic impact of the mafia-style governance. You can see that the economic impact of the mafia-style governance is no way to write about. People are dying of hunger everywhere, every day. Insecurity left and right. People can no longer travel safely again in Nigeria. The future of Nigeria depends on Nigeria. They said they should start down to know who they are going to vote for. Because the future of voting does not really still count in Nigeria if these people are still there. If Amukuton is still there, if the chief judge of the federation is still there, who is APC candidate, and Amukuton APC candidate, that really means that our vote is not actually going to count for 2027, and our vote is not actually going to count for 2031. Definitely means that we now have one party system in Nigeria. That is what Chidi Odinkalu is trying to say. That if Tinubu allow Tinubu to win this 2027, definitely means that he's going for third tenure. Because of what? The structure he has laid down. The judiciary are in support of him. INEC are in support of him. That he can able to rig election and they just declare him winner overnight. That is what Odinkalu is trying to tell Nigeria. The Nigeria should rise up. It is time for us to vote for who is going to be our candidate and not someone who has given us bandits, not someone who has given us insecurity, not someone who has brought to actual poverty. And the wife of this man, this young man, is saying that Asake Davido should help Nigeria, that Nigeria cannot, the governors cannot help Nigeria. Nigeria are living in poverty. Musicians should come and help. Whereby how the money Nigeria is generating from oil alone can pay every average Nigeria. Have they not seen other countries? But these people are stealing Nigerian money. Stealing Nigerian money, 8.8 billion naira. What are they using it for? He said he wants to construct Coastal Highway, Calabar Lagos Coastal Highway. Go and see that project. It's not going to be completed. That is the only way APC can steal money for 2027 election. The project is being abandoned because they need this money to pay people to vote for them. And politicians are fond of doing this, and that's how I've been advising the young one. Don't collect money to sell out your destiny in 2027 because the money will finish and you still live in abject poverty. The money will not be able to feed you for 3 days. He's just gathering all this money just to pay, boom, to INEC, boom, to police, boom, to chief judge, boom, to stupid Nigerians that will set out their vote in order for him to give us poverty that we have never seen again. So Odinkalu is revealing it now to us that Nigeria, we should wise it up. because Tinubu have already stolen so many money in Lagos, Calabar, Lagos, Coastal Highway and other highway that I do. Why can't they complete the previous highway that we're doing, the East highway that we're doing? They did not complete it. They don't want a system that they can divide money and use it for 2027 election. The highest rate of corruption. No wonder Nigeria is rated as the number one corruption country. My people, una don see everything wey dey happen. Una still believe say una go still vote for Tinubu again. Let me ask you something. Whether you like it or not, I agree with what Odinkalu have said, or whether you don't agree with it. The mafia structure he described is as he is waking up to call for the people in order for them to vote for him in 2027 election. That is why he's giving them appointment left and right. So, my people, do you believe on the or on the mafia structure? Let me ask you a simple question. I want you to be honest with me in the comment section. Do you think a third tenure is actually possible under this administration? Drop your honest thought in the comment section because I'm reading it one after the other. I want to see your honest thought. And please do well to subscribe to this channel because this is the only channel that we are going to break down analysis and tell you what is actually happening and why this is not supposed to happen and what it means for Nigeria. You can see that the mafia structure is going to destroy Nigeria. It's going to put Nigeria into one system party. The analysis is clear. Please subscribe and share this video for many Nigerians to know what to vote for in 2027 election. Subscribe and stay tuned.